Tears in Madrid, Princess Leonor emotional announcement today. Madrid wakes up like it always does, with the soft hum of the city rising into the morning air. The familiar sound of buses, footsteps, distant conversations, all blending into the rhythm of a normal Spanish day. People heading to work, students rushing to class, families settling into their routines. Nothing unusual, nothing alarming, just another peaceful morning in the capital. But that calm doesn't last long. Because just as Madrid settles into its ordinary rhythm, something happens inside the walls of the royal palace that instantly breaks the silence. Something unexpected, something emotional, something powerful enough to shift the entire mood of the city. Princess Leonor steps forward with an announcement that no one saw coming. And with that single moment, everything changes. But here's the twist. It's not the announcement people were predicting. It's not the polished royal message the world expected. Instead, it carries a tone so emotional, so personal, that it stops Spain in its tracks. The kind of announcement that creates a sudden ache in the air, the kind of message that brings Madrid to tears before the words even fully settle. And yet, here's the part that makes it even more surprising. The royal protocol team didn't prepare this speech. The palace didn't orchestrate it. No months-long planning, no heavily scripted delivery. This moment comes from Leonor herself, raw, genuine, and filled with the kind of honesty only a young woman stepping into the weight of her destiny could express. This is where the real story begins. Before the public even knows the details, rumors spread from the palace corridors. Royal staff members whisper that something profound took place behind closed doors. Something emotional enough to make even senior members of the household pause their routines. Something intense enough that Queen Letizia herself was seen with reddened eyes earlier in the morning. But what was it? What did Leonor say? And why did this moment shake Madrid so deeply? To understand the emotional explosion of today, we need to trace the steps that led up to this unexpected announcement. For weeks, the royal family has been navigating a wave of overwhelming attention. From discussions about Leonor's wedding plans, to her growing public responsibilities, to her future as Spain's next monarch, every move has been analyzed, speculated on, and debated. Leonor has been at the center of Spain's spotlight more intensely than ever before. And although she has always carried herself with poise, something changed behind the scenes in the days leading up to today's announcement. Something that built and built until it reached a point where silence was no longer an option. This moment, this emotional outpouring, came from a pressure that had been quietly growing inside her. Sources close to Zarzuela Palace say the last few weeks have been the most demanding of Leonor's life. Not physically, not politically, emotionally. She has been juggling conversations about her future role as queen, wedding preparations, family expectations, and the intense scrutiny of the media. Every choice she makes is analyzed. Every expression she gives is dissected. Every step she takes becomes a headline. And Leonor, who has always been disciplined, calm, and controlled, reached a point where she had to speak from her heart. So today, she did. Her announcement wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It wasn't theatrical. It was sincere, vulnerable, deeply human. The kind of moment that reminds everyone that behind the palace walls, behind the royal titles, behind the centuries-old traditions, there is a 19-year-old woman navigating the most extraordinary pressures imaginable. The tears in Madrid didn't come from sadness alone. They came from recognition, from empathy, from seeing the future Queen of Spain show her true self. But here's where the story thickens. Leonor didn't only speak about her emotions. What she shared goes far beyond feelings. It carries political weight, cultural weight, personal weight, and it opens up a new chapter in Spain's royal narrative that no one expected to begin today. Her announcement reveals her next step, her next responsibility, her next sacrifice. And here's the first of many curiosity loops. What pushed her to speak now? Why today? And why was the entire tone of the palace transformed in a matter of minutes? To answer that, we have to rewind to a moment that happened just yesterday evening. A moment between Leonor and Queen Letizia that insiders say triggered today's announcement. The two were seen in an unusually long private conversation in one of the smaller palace salons. No advisors, no protocol officers, no royal handlers, just mother and daughter, a queen and a future queen. Witnesses described the atmosphere as heavy yet intimate. Something emotional was unfolding, something that had been waiting for the right moment to surface. Queen Letizia, who has always held her emotions close, appeared deeply moved. Leonor listened with full attention, absorbing every word. What was said in that room remains private, but the impact was undeniable. It was after that conversation that Leonor requested to speak to the communications team early this morning. But even then, she insisted on delivering her message herself. No edits, no rehearsals, no palace polish. This alone hints at the gravity of her emotions. Something within her demanded honesty, authenticity, the chance to speak not as a royal figure but as a human being who feels the weight of her destiny. When she finally stepped up to address Spain, her voice was steady, but her eyes revealed everything. She didn't hide the emotion. She didn't pretend to be untouched by the pressure. She didn't mask the humanity behind the crown. She began by acknowledging the overwhelming support she has received as she prepares for her future role. She spoke about the expectations placed on her. She spoke about the love she feels for Spain. And then her voice softened as she revealed the heart of her announcement. She shared her fear, not fear of responsibility, not fear of the monarchy, fear of failing to live up to the hopes placed on her. Fear of disappointing the country she will one day lead. Fear of losing herself inside a role that was written for her before she was even born. And suddenly, Spain saw Leonor in a way it never had before. Not as a symbol, not as an heir, but as a young woman standing on the edge of transformation. Here is where another curiosity loop emerges. What does this emotional transparency mean for the monarchy? How will the public respond to a future queen who openly admits her fears? And how will this announcement shape the political landscape of Spain? To understand that, we need to look back at how the monarchy has evolved under King Felipe's leadership. Felipe has worked tirelessly to rebuild trust, restore dignity, and modernize the institution. His reign has been defined by honesty and restraint, values he has passed down to his daughters. And Leonor's announcement today reflects that evolution. It shows that the future queen wants to lead with vulnerability, authenticity, and emotional truth. But this emotional approach carries risks. While many Spaniards find it refreshing, others may question whether vulnerability is compatible with monarchy. That is precisely the tension that makes Leonor's announcement so powerful and so historic. And now we reach the next emotional layer. As Leonor revealed her fears, she also spoke with confidence about what she intends to do moving forward. Her message wasn't one of uncertainty. It was one of clarity, growth, determination. She announced a personal decision that will shape the next chapter of her public life. The decision itself was emotional, unexpected, and deeply meaningful. It explains the tears in Madrid. It explains the shift inside the palace. And it explains why Queen Letizia reacted the way she did. Leonor announced that she will be taking on new responsibilities earlier than planned. She will be stepping into more public duties. She will begin preparing for her long-term royal role with greater intensity. She will embrace the challenges ahead with a new sense of confidence and purpose. And yet, she emphasized that she needs Spain with her. Not just celebrating her, not just watching her, supporting her, understanding her, walking with her as she transitions into the queen she was born to become. The emotional weight of those words is what broke Madrid open. As her speech ended, there was silence. A long, full, emotional silence. And then the reaction started. Social media erupted. News outlets interrupted broadcasts. People across Spain paused, watching the speech again and again, feeling each word. The city felt united in something rare, a shared emotional moment from the woman who will one day lead them. But this is only the beginning. Today's announcement sets off a chain of questions about what comes next. Will she take on more engagements? Will the palace share new details? Will this emotional honesty become a cornerstone of her leadership? And most importantly, what role did her family play in guiding her toward this moment? Inside the palace, reactions were varied but deeply emotional. Queen Letizia looked visibly moved, her expression a mix of pride and protectiveness. King Felipe watched with quiet strength, knowing exactly what his daughter is stepping into. Even Sofia, Leonor's sister, was said to have been deeply affected. This wasn't just a speech. It was a turning point. A declaration of emotional maturity. A signal that Spain's future queen understands the weight of her crown and the love of her country. Today's announcement will echo far beyond Madrid. It will influence royal watchers across Europe. It will shape Spain's perception of the monarchy. It will become a defining moment in Leonor's journey. And as the city dries its tears, one truth becomes clear. Leonor is stepping into her destiny. Not with perfection, not with rigid formality, with emotion, with humanity, with courage. Today's announcement wasn't about weakness. It wasn't about fear. It was about strength born from vulnerability. And that is the kind of leadership Spain has never seen before. This is the moment when Princess Leonor became more than an heir. This is the moment she became the future queen Spain can believe in.